Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Shoot Your Shot. We are so excited to be back with you. Thanks for coming on for another episode. I'm
Hello,
Claire,
guys. I'm Georgia.
and today we are talking about the art of a collaboration.
Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot.
So this is a pretty big
Yes.
topic. I feel like there's so many directions we could go in here. So we're gonna kind of freestyle it. It's George is having a rough start to the morning.
I just literally look like so bad right now and I sound like a smoker, and Claire looks so good and it's so unfair right now.
Well, okay, she was at EDC last night in Orlando,
Yes.
right? Yeah, so
Yeah,
she's
Orlando.
really pulling through for you guys. She's
Yes.
working overtime right now.
I
What is it?
am.
3 hours of sleep after dancing the night away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty bad. I have like a hot tea on standby right now.
Well, I appreciate you putting in the effort to make this happen. We had to record this today because we just had to get it done. There was no other option with our absolutely psychotically chaotic schedules. We can't even start to explain how opposite our schedules are. Like the fact that we've been successfully for 4 weeks getting episodes out is a miracle.
I know. Like, I don't even know how our schedule can be so different from each other.
Well, it's because we're either 9 or 6 hours apart in time, and then we're both super busy, and my mornings are always free, but my mornings are when you're asleep, and then I'm usually shooting or busy at night, and then that's your morning, which is when you're free. So it's just
pretty bad.
Yeah, it's bad, guys. But hey, we're making it work. We're here, and we're doing this for you because actually, I want to shout out really quick. We've had some really sweet messages from some of our listeners that have been so heartwarming, and that's the only reason we're still doing this.
Literally,
to be honest.
I think we had a message this past week, and it was a long one too. Like, it wasn't just like we love your podcast. Like, somebody put thought and time into an actual DM, and me and Claire were both like, all right, we got to keep going. We have to keep doing it.
Yeah, it was like the sweetest message that this girl said she wishes we could do multiple podcast episodes a week. Like, she wants to listen to more. And I was like, girl, we can barely do one. We can't do that right now.
Please. Like, we would love to. In a perfect world, if Claire and I didn't have anything else going on and we lived literally in the same apartment, great. But as it stands, we really suck at scheduling ourselves.
And the irony is that we literally have a producer now. Like, we are paying someone to help us with the podcast, and we still cannot get our shit together.
I know. Guys, that's how bad it is.
Yeah, but again, we're making it work, and yeah, it's episode 5. Well, again, 5 of season 2. So
25.
Yeah, 25. So hey, we're making it work. So when I think of collaboration, I literally think of collaborating with another person or maybe a brand and doing a project together. Obviously that's what collaboration means, is doing something together. But I think of like a social media collaboration. Like if I were to shoot a model that I really like and I want to like have a concept that I want to create. Then there's also I think like the bad collaboration, which is the one where like a brand doesn't want to pay a creator. And so they're like, do you want to collab? And like, we'll post you on our page. We'll send you free product. Or like an influencer is like, do you want to collab? And I'll give you a shout out and you'll get followers. So there's that kind of collaboration. And then on the other hand, I also see collaboration kind of as like delegation within a business when you need to level up and you have too much work and you can't handle everything on your own. And so you bring in other people to take over certain tasks and you delegate to them these tasks for you to be able to better manage, handle, and put time into the things that you're good at and that you need to focus on. I don't know if that's really collaboration, but to me, like,
no, that's a form of collaboration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, because at the end of the day, like you said, collaboration is coming together and contributing to some idea, thing, project, whatever. So whether it's creatively hands-on or like you said, as a business, just all coming together to get a project done. So yeah, I think that counts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think as far as like the delegation aspect of it, that's actually a topic I'm really interested in because I'm really bad at delegating. And Georgia, I feel like you're actually way more skilled at this. Like you have an actual company, and I feel like you usually bring on other people, and I think that's something that you're much more talented at. I am like an OCD control freak when it comes to my work, and I am unable to delegate. Like I've tried, like I literally hired a VA last year, which is a virtual assistant, people that you hire on like Fiverr or something. And like I wanted to have a part-time VA who would handle like all of my emailing, who would handle a lot of like client relationships and budgeting and like whatever other tasks, a lot of like admin organizational tasks. And this is why I hate delegating actually, is because I had a nightmare experience with this guy. Is I hired him and trained him for 2 months, and after he was trained I was like, okay, like we're ready to go, like you can take over all these tasks. And I had to literally hold his hand through everything, constantly remind him to do anything. And I essentially was like doing the task for him or having to like harass him to do any task and nothing got
that's
done.
not good.
No. So
Well,
my
I
experience
feel
with
like
delegation is like I can't do it.
I do think though there's like a good and bad version of delegation, and your experience sounds way more hand-holding, almost as if you were like his mom, as opposed to like his collaboratee, however you would say that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you should give I think you should give maybe a VA another shot. I don't know, it just
Yeah.
depends. It's kind of like that. This is like kind of a side note, but I've learned that you almost pay for what you get. So like if you pay a really high ticket price, then whoever you work with and delegate things to, like they'll be on it, like they'll get
That's
it.
true. Yeah.
But if like, because I've almost come to the point where like if I cannot afford that service that I really want done, or I really want somebody to help me with, then I'm just gonna do it until I can afford it, because otherwise, like what happened to you, I'm just gonna handhold and I'm gonna be more stressed out because I'm gonna then be spending money while also doing the work still myself.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. It's like you pay for what you get for. And I think also on delegation, when you're an artist or an entrepreneur, you know, you have some sort of business. And usually when you're a full-time artist, it is a business. You learn to do everything on your own from the very beginning, because this is like a common joke in the industry is like, oh, I'm not just a photographer, I'm a marketer, I'm a negotiator, I'm a budgeter, I'm a producer, I'm a director, I'm an editor. Like you play 15 roles in one because it's just you and your business. And at the very beginning, like you can't afford to pay people to do all those things. So you end up doing a lot of roles, playing a lot of roles. And then once you do all those roles and you get really good at them and you get really used to doing them, you not necessarily get attached to them, but you have a really high expectation because you've been doing them for so long that you're like, this is the way to do it for my business. And then when you delegate and you're like, okay, I have enough money now to hire, okay, for a good example for me, hire an editor or a retoucher. I am terrified to hire a retoucher and editor because one, I love editing and I have a very specific style of editing. And I just do not think that anyone, and again, this is all in my head. I'm sure there are people who can recreate my editing. It's not like freaking rocket science, and I'm not the
But
best
that's
editor in the
also
world.
a part of your art and what
Totally.
makes you you.
Totally. But I've had so many friends, people tell me like, you're always, you know, backed up on edits because you get, you know, the classic no work for 3 weeks and then you get like 7 gigs in 2 weeks. So then it's like you're really backed up on edits. Just hire an editor and have an editor do everything. And I just can, I'm like scared to do that. So I don't do it because I'm like, they're not going to be able to edit the way I do. Or like, they're just these tiny little attentions to detail. Like, for example, I'm editing photos for a watch company right now, Vincero. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that brand. It's like very popular in like the creator world. And I just did a shoot for them in Paris. And I'm literally editing out every speck of dust on this model's face, body, watch, like things that you cannot see. You literally cannot see these specks of dust, and I'm going in like a freaking crazy person editing out every single speck of dust. And I know that that attention to detail, because I'm OCD, is not going to be reproduced in an editor that I hire. And maybe that's not true, but that's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it too.
Yeah.
I feel that way in terms of video editing. We have tried so hard. Like I cannot explain how hard we have tried to find somebody to like replicate edits that we do, or just edits that we even fucking like at this point. And like, and I don't know why it's so hard to find somebody that's what I mean. Like, I've literally just come to terms, like, I have to accept that for what I want in my head, like, in order to scale as a company, I'm going to have to wait until I can actually afford somebody who has like a really high day rate. Cause otherwise I'm going to hate it. And I'm going to end up doing it. Cause that's what's been happening. Either Jack and I have to end up doing it, and it sucks. But like, it at the end of the day, your photos, like our videos, our photos, whatever, it's what makes us us. It's what makes people come to us. So if it doesn't reach that certain like threshold for what you expect, then you're not going to be happy with it. Like, but that's okay. But I think that's like a blessing and a curse for artists, because I feel like a lot of us have this bar of like, it has to be here, but clients' bars are almost like here. So even if you gave them something that was here, they would think it's here, but you know that it's not there. Does that make sense?
No, totally. Yeah, I think that's such a relatable thing to all creators, is when you grow in love with your art and in love with the way you do something, you have really high expectations for yourself and you push yourself to be the best. And then it's like, how can you can expect and demand someone to be their best, but you don't have control of them being their best. So like, they might not be their best. And that's just something that's out of your control. And that's something that's really hard to do as a creator, is to let go of that control.
This is a good point. So we're currently having a situation like that happen with a video. It's technically a client video, but it's more of like a personal video too, to get out into Elation's like socials. And we paid the person to do the video. We had several revisions, like several, but for whatever reason, like they're just not understanding what we want. And I think at the end of the day, like if that happens, like it sucks, but you kind of just have to take the L and say, all right, like I thought that this person could see what I wanted to see, like creatively, but they just can't. And I've tried so hard, and like I spent the money, but like at the end of the day, if they don't see what I see, like I can't be mad at them. Like it sucks, but I can't be like, your art sucks, right? Like, I'm not going to say that, because that's their art to them. And it just was an unfortunate collaboration where I chose somebody who didn't see the same as me creatively. So I wasn't happy, but they're still happy. So like, it's not a bad thing, like, but it's not a good thing either. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe we can expand into that.
You know what that makes me think of, kind of like as an analogy? Maybe this is a weird analogy, but I feel like it's when you try a new medication, when you need a long-term medication, and you need to try all these different medications because you can't find the right one that fits you right. So you go after like medication after medication, and then sometimes, like me, you almost die, ended up in a hospital during a Friendsgiving, and almost have your organs fail.
Cut to photo here.
Wait, actually, can we tell them real quick about Friendsgiving? Yes. So Georgia and Jack, as you guys know, they have a company called Elation, and Elation puts together a Friendsgiving every year. Last year was the first one, correct?
Yes, last year was the first one, and now it has to be an annual thing. Like it has to. I can't not do it.
Legendary. It's like the most legendary Friendsgiving that will ever be in the face of the earth.
So that makes me so happy.
Last year was the first one, and this year's is coming up next month, and you guys, I'm flying back to LA just for this. Like, there's no other reason that I'm flying from Europe to America than just for Georgia's Friendsgiving. So that's how much I love it.
But that makes me so excited.
That was an expensive flight. But
just like year, I'm up now doing this podcast for you with this smoker's voice. It's a give and take. We do a lot of
things for each other. Yeah, exactly. We're really good at compromising in this relationship. Yes. But last year at her Friendsgiving, this is a total tangent, but I was on the way with my friends, and I had started taking a new medication. And I'm just going to tell the story because it's so funny and crazy, and I almost died.
But guys, I didn't believe her. Like, I thought that they were messing with me.
So like, I had started taking a new medication 3 weeks before, and every week I was supposed to double the dose. That's what the doctor told me. So the morning of Friendsgiving, I'm in LA. Friendsgiving is in Joshua Tree. So it's like a 3.5 hour drive away. And so I woke up with like these like red specks all over my body. And I was like, what is happening? I look at it was hives. I had hives. And so I called my doctor and he was like, oh, it's probably the medication. Just like, don't take it today and you'll be fine. And I was like, okay. I was like, I felt fine. So I get in the car with my friends. We're all driving to Joshua Tree to meet Georgia and Jack and all
And
of
we're
our
like
friends
carpooling.
there.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm like
everyone's
right behind
carpooling.
them.
Yeah. So George is in another car. I'm in another car. And on the way there, the specks on my body are getting worse and worse. And I'm starting to feel lightheaded and I have a fever. And I asked my friends, I was like, do I look okay? And they were like, you look not good. Like your whole body is like turning red. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I don't feel good. I was like, I think I need to stop at like an emergency room and just like do something, like ask them something. So like we go to an ER and the nurse is like, oh, it's fine. You just need a shot of Benadryl. So she puts a shot of Benadryl on my arm, which is like, you know, the anti-allergy reaction.
Oh, I didn't know
like,
you got a
medicine.
shot of Benadryl.
Yeah, but she's like, you're gonna feel amazing in like an hour. It'll all be gone in an hour. At this point, we're like an hour and a half out from the house, from George's
Guys,
house.
this makes this so much better because I didn't know she stopped and got a shot of Benadryl.
Yes, bro, in my freaking arm, an entire shot so that it would get to my system faster. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm gonna feel amazing in an hour and we're gonna party. 30 minutes out from the house, I literally am like at this point delulu. Like my fever is so intense that I can barely talk and I just look so sick. And I'm like, guys, I need to go to a hospital. Like I feel like I'm gonna die. Like I could barely talk and process information. And I look in the mirror and at this point, these flecks, they're not flecks. My entire body looks like I'm a tomato. Like I look like I have a 3rd-degree burn. So I go into the hospital and I'm like, you guys can just drop me off. Don't worry about me. Go have fun. Go party. They're like, we're not dropping you off. We're going in with you.
She did say that.
Yeah, because I felt so bad. There was like 6 people in the car. I was like, please don't ruin your Friendsgiving for me. Like, I'm gonna go take care of this. I'll be fine. They all come in with me, and the nurse is like, oh my gosh, we have to get you in right now. She was like, I didn't even do paperwork. They literally just like swept me away. And my friends were like, where did she go? They just rushed me in. They put me on all these liquids, all this stuff. The doctor comes in and he's like, you're having a severe allergic reaction. Like, what did you take? I tell him what I took. And my fever was so, so, so intense. They were like putting me on all the stuff, all these freaking whatever fever things. I was hooked up to all these machines, and the doctor kept coming in and he was like, okay, there's 3 things that could happen. It could get worse and you could have organ failure if your fever doesn't come down. It could be this version of that. And then there was like a 3rd version. And he was like, right now you're basically at version number 2, which is like not good. And because my fever wouldn't drop, he was like legitimately afraid I was going to have a good time. Because if your fever doesn't stop and it gets higher and higher, your brain, I mean, it's frying your brain. You could have a seizure and like, I mean, your brain is everything. If your fever keeps going up, you're screwed. So I call my parents and I'm like, I'm not kidding you, Georgia, for like, I would say like 20 minutes, I thought I was going to die. Like legitimately, I was like, I think I might actually like pass away because like,
oh my God,
I could barely function and my fever kept going up. It wasn't going down no matter how many cold fluids they put in me, how much stuff they were giving me. It kept going
no one
up.
told me no one told me it was that. I mean, like, I knew it was serious. Like, I literally was like, I'm going to the hospital to see her and bringing her food or something. But you couldn't even have, like, a guest or something.
Well, yeah, I did. Well, DJ came.
Came in. DJ and Jack came. Because Jack was like, no, you need to stay here. And I was like, well, I think I should go. Like, I'm more friends with Claire. and DJ was like, no, I'll take Jack. We got this. And he carried a baguette. And I was like, okay, I was like, so cute. Tell her I said I was trying to come, I guess.
Yeah, it was really cute because, okay, wait, so before DJ and Jack came,
oh, yeah.
I called my parents. My parents called my brothers, and my brothers were like, we're going right now. That's right, they left. Sweet. They drove all the way from Huntington Beach to Joshua Tree, 3 hours just to come see me in the hospital because they were so worried. And like, I didn't really know they were on the way, and I was still so delusional. So that when they got in, they were like, dude, are you okay? What's going on? And it was literally the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Like my little brothers drove 3 hours to come see me. It was adorable. But then finally, like, the fever started going down, so it did not have organ failure, thank God. And DJ and our friend DJ, his name is DJ, not the DJ.
I know. I'm like, I just realized that we're saying like the DJ came and played a house set for her as she was recovering from her fever.
Bro, that would have been so good. But
it's
no,
like
my
fever,
friend DJ.
boom, 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 fever, boom, boom, boom.
That's actually so funny. That would have been so good. That'd be such a good skit. They're like, we send our condolences. Here's a DJ.
Or like the one thing you would want before you die.
Just some house music, like
house
bump.
music.
Like, give me some John Summit or Chris Lake. No, so they were only letting in one person come in. So DJ came in and it was so cute. He had wrapped a baguette in styrofoam and everybody at the party had signed it with like different notes. It was the cutest thing ever. It was really cute. But it's funny because later DJ told me, he's like, yeah, when I came in, I was like, you did not look good. I was like, he was like, I was trying not to like say anything about how you looked because I didn't want you to panic, but he was like, you looked awful. I was like, great, thanks. That's lovely.
Like, thanks, DJ.
But anyways, then I stayed in the hospital for a whole night, and then the next day, like midday, they let me leave, and so I came to Georgia's humongous Friendsgiving party. So much was going on. I came and I still had the red specks all over me and I was icing my entire body for the whole party. I was walking around with like basically a gigantic, like, I don't know, container of ice. And everywhere I went, when I was dancing, talking, eating, I was holding ice up to my face and body. And people were like, who are you? You just randomly got here. And I was like, oh, I'm Claire. And they were like, oh, you're the one who was in the hospital. Like, are you good, bro? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm here to party.
Guys, like, so a lot of the people still, I mean, I think they know you different now since we have the podcast. But, like, literally people were like, oh, Claire, she's the tomato-looking girl, right?
They're like, the one who almost died, who was in the hospital.
Yeah, she's the one that went to the hospital, right?
Georgia keeps being like, oh, yeah, like, so-and-so is coming. You met them. You'll be like, oh, my friend blah, blah, blah is staying with me this week. I'm like, oh, who's that? She's like, you met them at Friendsgiving. I'm like, oh, I don't remember. The amount of people you've told me that I've met, you're like, you literally were talking to this person. You met them at Friendsgiving. I'm like, I have no recollection of anything.
Yeah, she doesn't.
From me trying to ice my body and being in like survival mode while dancing.
I just remember like everybody had the silent disco headphones on in the house and you were like just sitting at like the little kitchen bar and like I look over at you and you're like trying to dance and your face is so red.
I know, it was so gnarly. So anyways, I'm really excited for this year's Friendsgiving because I really hope I don't die.
I was gonna say don't take any weird medication, please, the day before.
Nothing. I cannot wait to have like an actual good time and like re-meet the like 400 people that I apparently met last year. Like I met so many people and I'm like, I don't know who these people are. So anyways, that was such a tangent, but super excited because that's happening in a month and I will be in LA in a month.
And we'll be together and hopefully we'll be able to record an episode there where our schedules don't suck. I do think that collaborating is beneficial throughout your entire career. Mm-hmm. I think there's certain different levels of collaboration that are beneficial depending on where you're at in your career. So if you're just starting out and you want to collaborate with brands and get exposure or get free product or whatever, like amazing, like do it. Like honestly, I still do that sometimes. Like there's some clothing brands where I really want their clothes and I'll collaborate with them. Like I'm doing one right now for Pretty Little Thing. I think when you start out, it's really great to collaborate with other creators. If you're a photographer, collaborate with models. If you're a model, like collaborate with photographers. If you're a makeup artist, like collaborate with photographers and videographers and models. Like I think that's something really important to note, that collaborations are an opportunity to learn from at any stage of your creative journey, but especially in the beginning because you have the opportunity to fail and it's okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think collaboration is really important, especially when you're, let's say you're trying to get into a new niche of whatever art you do. So for photography, for example, like if you're a portrait photographer and you want to move more into shooting cars or something, instead of just like directly pitching to a bunch of car brands where you have no no experience to show, you don't really have anything on your portfolio, this is a great opportunity to collaborate with other artists, to collaborate with other maybe car owners, other stylists or something, and conceptualize ideas. And this is what spec work is, really. I mean, I view this more as spec work, which for me includes collaboration, because I like having a team that bring in different things for projects usually. So it's really good to create a spec project in collaboration with other artists, other people, especially when you guys all want to get into something at the same time. Be like, hey, we're all super into cars right now. Like, let's put together a sick fake car ad. And like, we're going to use this guy's car who, like, he barely has photos of his car. And he was just saying the other day, he wants better photos. We're going to use this model who's just starting and this stylist who wants to get more experience. And we're all going to collaborate together and put together an epic project. And then you can use that and put that in your portfolio and start expanding your photography niche into more cars. And I think this is one of the best ways to build out a new portfolio. And also, it's fun because when you collaborate with other people, you're kind of helping each other come up together. And if you build those really great long-term relationships with people who you really enjoy working with, in the long run, you can create a team, and then you can take on all these projects together. And these are people that you've been working with now for years that you came up with. And so, for example, like if me and you were starting together and we wanted to work on like street photography or something, or like shooting sneakers, for example, and we started from the very bottom together, I would rather go work with you long term when I'm then working with Puma than like coming up with a random person to help on the project, but instead working with a person that I've been collaborating with from the very beginning. And then fast forward 3-4 years, you guys are getting paid so much money to work with, whatever crazy brand that you're working with. So I think it's also beautiful because the art of collaboration allows you to create teams that you can work with long term. And I think the flow that you have with a team that you've worked with for a long time is so special and so much more, I don't know, it's more of a safe space to actually get creative than with people you've never worked before. And obviously this isn't like always the case. You can definitely have great chemistry with someone you've never worked with before, but there's something special about working with people that you've been collaborating with from the very beginning and you're coming up with them. It's just like a big family, and you get to work with your family. And I think that's so beautiful and fun to do.
And I think just to add to that point, it builds trust. Like it's very hard to, I feel like, trust people in the industry with your vision, because again, at the end of the day, we're all artists. Like our vision is essentially like what makes us as humans and as artists. So if you can find that team like Claire's talking about, and if you can really just like lean into that, then you develop better trust with people as well, because you're literally sharing each other's visions and trusting that both of you can execute them successfully.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another thing on collaboration that's important to note is that when you are collaborating with people, it's important to give credit where credit is due, and to credit
that is true.
the proper way. And I think
we talked about this too, where we had situations come up where like you and I both at certain times weren't credited for certain work that we've done.
When you give those small gestures of respect, of like giving credit where credit is due, that builds, again, long-term relationships, which are going to help you in the long run. And I know I say this all the time, but like for me, what has helped me the most in my career is fostering long-term relationships with people. Like I have super, 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 super exciting project coming up in 10 days. And I'm not going to say it on here yet, but actually I know I can, because like this comes out like in a few days.
Thursday.
Yeah, and then I'll basically be leaving a few days from there. But I'm going to Sicily, to Palermo, which is so funny because you and I were there in January, and that was my first time ever being there.
Well, I saw your story, so I'm excited for you to talk about this.
Yeah, so I'm going to Sicily with Puma. They're dropping a new sneaker called the Palermo, and they're bringing a bunch of like content creators together in Sicily to like have a creator trip. And like I honestly don't really know what we're gonna do. I think we're doing a bunch of random stuff like cooking classes and like shooting stuff, and we're staying in the villa where they shot White Lotus, which is like bonkers. That's so
that's
cool.
Exciting.
And I have like serious imposter syndrome because I was like it was funny, in the brief they were like, we're bringing the world's top influencers, most known like influencers, to talk about this shoe Palermo. And I was like, bruh, I was like, I'm definitely not a top influencer. Do you have the wrong Claire? Did you mean to reach out to someone else with more followers? Because that's not me.
But you're like, I would consider you, especially to them, because you have that lasting relationship with them. Like you're one of their top creators.
I don't know if I would say that, but I'm very honored that they put me in that category. But the point of me sharing that is that A, I'm excited. It's gonna be super fun. But B, I've been working with Puma for years now, and it literally started with just a relationship with one person, with a girl, who I met over Instagram, and we both loved dubstep, and we bonded, and we became friends. And then she hired me to do Puma projects, and like that's what I mean. It's just like, and you know, I didn't get this opportunity like year one of working with Puma. I've been working with them now for 4 years, and I haven't actually worked with them in over a year and a half. So it's like a long build. Like you have to build, you have to be patient, and it does take a really long time to see those end goals sometimes, but it's so worth it, you know? It's so worth it to put in the time and effort into those relationships, because you literally never know when someone is going to end up giving you, you know, a dream project or open up a door that you never thought could be opened.
That's such a good point. You said that so well.
Like that's so true. I always bring that up, like long-term.
No, but it's true. It's true, because again, even if, like, I guess maybe to add a tiny thing to that, even if you necessarily don't know where that connection could lead to in that moment, you just never know when they might come back around. Like, I'm sure you have too. Like, I've had so many cases where I met someone and they weren't even really involved in the creator world. And then like now, like 3, 4, even like 6 years later, they're like, oh, hey, like I'm working with this company now. Like, can I set you up with my boss to have a meeting? Like, I see what you're doing and it looks great. And I'm like, when did you turn into like this marketing person? When did you start working at this company? Like, what?
Yeah.
But like literally just one small thing, like one small engagement. Like, it doesn't even have to be work. Like Claire said, like they bonded over dubstep. Like, I think that just also goes, this could be like a whole topic in itself, but I think that also goes into the theme of just being a good person to whoever you meet, because again, like you just never know, but also just in general, you should be good humans, because if you're a good human, then one, that's just how I feel like you should be. But also if you put out good energy, like good energy comes back to you.
Yeah, totally. And that's why you should do a good job at every job. It doesn't matter how like insignificant to you a job is. You could be shooting something that like you're just doing it because you need the cash and it's not a project that you're interested in. Always put in 100. Never put in less than 100, because you never know if putting in 100 on this project that is pretty small and doesn't mean anything to you, if you kill it and they love it, they're going to recommend you, and you never know like where that's going to go. And I know for a fact that there's times where I haven't done a good job and I probably screwed myself over and didn't get, you know, further opportunities from doing a good job on a project. And like now I pride myself on putting in 150% into every single project. But I know in the past when I was younger and coming up, and like obviously when you're young, I was an especially stupid like 20-year-old. Like I was really dumb in the very beginning of my career, to be honest. And there would be times where like I just didn't care about a project, and I would never half-ass it, because I'm like legitimately OCD about my work. But you know, you just don't put in like the most effort as you would for like Puma, you know? You kind of like are selective with like the total amount of energy and effort you put in, and that's not good, and it will end up screwing you over in the future. And I'm sure that when I was 20, 21, I did that because I was a dumbass. But yeah, anyways, that was also another tangent.
But I will say to that, because you don't want to like over deliver yourself to a point. I don't know, because okay, wait, let me re-say this. I personally feel that, because starting a company and like having a bunch of different, like having to wear a bunch of different hats and having to do a bunch of different things, like I constantly like tell myself, like, even if this doesn't matter, like it matters. Like you have to just stay up those extra 2 hours, Georgia. You have to just put in that extra like one thing that you know is going to make it like at 100. But I will say there is a balance with that, because what I've learned is some projects, I don't know, I guess it's situational, it depends, but some projects like I have like overextended myself and put in that 100%, and then I've come to realize like, wow, like I'm pretty sure like I probably was just putting in more than I should have. But that's the thing.
I'm against collaboration with brands who don't pay you if you're just doing work to work. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I'm finding like it's hard to like explain it, because for example, like the Pretty Little Thing that I'm about to do, like I really want their clothes. So like I'm more than happy to put in that work, because that's just like fun for me, because I just want their clothes. Whereas like if I guess I didn't want their clothes or something, and I was maybe a new creator and I overworked myself, then it's like you shouldn't have. I don't know. That is an interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I think that like if you were doing it for free, you shouldn't overwork yourself if they're getting free work. But I think if you're getting paid, you should put in 150% all the time.
Well, yeah, if you're getting paid 100%, I think I'm more thinking of the collaboration route.
I know. I'm very, hot take, but like I'm against doing free work with brands unless it is literally like one of your first projects and you're getting something in return that's maybe not like monetary, but it's like really worth it to you. Like it just bugs me so much when creators do free work for brands because it lowers the standard for the entire industry, but also it devalues your work. I don't know. I know that's such like a debate because some people are like, oh, well, when you're beginning, like how else do you get into the industry if you're not doing collaborations by getting experience under your belt and growing your portfolio? But that's why I'm always preaching spec work. Like you can run up a fake perfume ad and like you control everything. You are directing, shooting, you do everything, and you can put that on your portfolio, and you can and you can say it's spec work. You don't need to say you're being paid by Dior. Like, that's one of my pet peeves when people say that their spec work is like paid work when it's not. But like you're that's what the whole point of spec work is. So I think that collaboration should be for a concept, for spec work. You should use collaboration for spec work, but you shouldn't necessarily be collaborating with brands unless, like you said, like there is times where I'll reach out to a clothing brand and I'll be like, hey, I really like your stuff. Like, would you guys be interested in like taking care of my wardrobe for this trip? And I'll send you a bunch of content in return. I'm doing it for free, but I don't feel like buying new clothes. So I know that I'm getting something out of it that I want versus like, let's say for example, if like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a really random brand, like a chapstick brand was like, hey, we want you to shoot a campaign
or
and it's going to be free.
Like a phone case brand.
Yeah, exactly. A phone
case
brand.
They always reach out.
Yeah, we want you to shoot our phone case campaign and we're going to like send you like 10 phone cases. I'm like, I don't want.
You're like, I don't really want 10 phone cases. No. Like, you can pay me.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, no, we're not open to like paid work at the moment. It's like, well, then that's not worth my time because I'm not getting anything out of this. And no matter how big your brand is, like that just doesn't, it doesn't look, you have to protect yourself as a creator. And so you have to be wary of when to collaborate and when not to collaborate.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also too, I think it's important to note like something that changed for my, like something that kind of changed my collaboration game is when brands do reach out and say they want to collaborate and they imply that it's for free, I will literally respond back and say like, this is like not Elation Georgia, this is like personal brand Georgia talking. I'll literally say like, hey, like, thank you so much for reaching out. At this time, I'm only accepting paid collaborations. If there is a budget for this, please let me know, as I definitely would love to potentially discuss more. And then that lets them know like, okay, this girl isn't gonna like do it for free. So is there a budget? Totally. And that's worked before, like because and this is the crazy thing. If I would have said yes to an email like that, like, oh yeah, I'd love to collaborate. Free product, free work, free collaboration. But because I said, hey, I need paid for this, then the brand came back to me and they were like, oh, cool. Yeah, we actually have like about $700 for this. And all you would need to do is like, we'll send you the product and you'll just post like an Instagram like reel or something. And I was like, all right, like that for me in that time, I was like, that's worth it. Like, I'm so glad I asked that question. But if I didn't ask, then I wouldn't have potentially gotten that offer.
100% ask and you shall receive. That is so true. That's happened to me so many times too, Georgia, where like a brand reaches out and they're like, hey, we're looking to collaborate, blah, blah, blah. And I say the exact same thing. Hey, at this moment, I'm not taking unpaid work, but if you have a budget, I'm happy to chat more. And so many times they have come back and been like, actually, we do have a budget. And it's like,
I know.
It's almost like they're trying to scout out for who is like, they'll do whatever you want, but they're not going to give you a budget if you don't ask
exactly.
for it. So it's like, if you ask
they're
for it,
sneaky.
they'll give it. Exactly. And like most companies do have budgets because they have quarterly budgets or like seasonal budgets that they have to spend. Like most brands have to spend their marketing money by the end of the year. That's why usually at the end of the year, the last 2 quarters of the year, you can make a lot more money because they're trying to get rid of all their budgets because they have to start fresh for Q1 of 2024. So
yeah, fun fact.
That's also a hack. Yeah. And usually Q1, Q2 are the least paid because they're still like being really
Yeah.
careful about budgeting. And then by 3, 4, they're like, oh my gosh, we have all these excess budget. Like, we just need to get rid of this. So we're just going to create all this extra like sponsorships or collaborations or whatever.
That's a really good point that you touched on, because that's very true.
Okay, guys, so I don't know if you guys remember if you are season 1 listeners, but if you're not, we were doing 2 Truths and a Lie with all of our guests. And it was a really fun little segment that we had going on. But I just realized that we haven't done it with each other. I think, did we even ever do it with each other at all in season 1?
No, we definitely did it, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay. Well,
But we could do it. We could do it related to this episode.
Yeah, totally. Let's do 2 Truths and a Lie with each other and end on that. I think that'd be like a fun little way to segue into the end.
Okay, so first one, I once collaborated with a hotel and almost got kidnapped. 2, I collaborated
I don't have any funny stories. I literally started my career, I mean, in LA, mostly shooting weed brands, which is so
But I was gonna say, no, that's funny because I feel like that's such like an LA thing.
So LA,
like,
yeah. And honestly, it was great because like eventually when I got good at it, they were like paying really well. They pay in cash, and it's super easy to shoot. And it wasn't like grimy weed products. It was like the super like sleek, like cool weed brands that were like really like modern and minimalistic,
the sexy ones.
Yeah. And I used to I basically don't smoke weed. I mean, I definitely don't smoke weed now. I rarely used to smoke weed. And so
yeah, I can't. I get weird.
I would when I was shooting for these weed brands, I would have like an enormous amount of weed at my house because I was shooting for them. So I literally, all my like pothead friends would come over and be like, hey, can I get some weed? Because I had literally, I don't even know how to explain how much
you were the plug.
No, literally, I was like, I had like boxes filled with, and it was like the craziest stuff. It wasn't just like nugs. It was like, I had liquid weed, I had weed vapes, I had like really pretty like whatever type of weed. Like I had all the new like weed gadgets. I had like a self-rolling joint. Like it was like a little machine that would like, you put the paper and the weed in, and it would like crush it or whatever, and then it would like roll it in a little machine. Like I had all these cool gadgets, and I was like, I don't even smoke weed. Like I'd go to my close friends and be like, anyone pick up any weed? Like I don't know what to do with this shit.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Anywho.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Well, thank you guys for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this. Please make sure to follow us on all of our socials. Let me say that. Socials. Please make sure to follow us on all of our socials at Shoot Your Shot Podcast _. Claire, what else do we say normally?
Why do you suck at the outro so much? Like, we're doing this for a year now, and you still can't do an outro.
I know. I'm like dying right now.
Okay, I'll do it. Thank you guys.
Okay, that was so funny. You were so excited. You were like, okay, I'll do it.
Thank you guys so much for coming to another episode of Shoot Your Shot. If you like the podcast, please leave us a rate and review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Guys, for real, when we ask this, it means so much because the only way for us to grow and to get higher on the charts, which... what charts? I don't even know if we're on a chart right now. But the only way for us to get on a chart is by getting a lot of reviews at the same time. That's literally the only way. That's how it works. So if you could leave us a little cheeky review, honestly.
Oh, cheeky. I like that.
Even if you don't like the pod, leaving a hate review, it still helps us. So please.
It does still help us.
Actually, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Don't do that, actually.
I mean, but if you, I'm like,
we're like winking.
I know.
But no, leave us a rate and review. Give us a little like, thumbs up on YouTube. Give us a little subscribe button thingy right there. And at Shoot Your Shot _ no, at Shoot Your Shot Podcast _ on Instagram, on TikTok, and just give us a little engagement, a little
love,
because we are a tiny minuscule podcast, and the literal only reason that we are still doing this is because we have been getting some really sweet messages, and it really encourages us. So thank you for all the kind messages, and if you have any ideas of things you want us to chat about, please let us know. We are so happy to dive into whatever podcast episode topic that you guys are interested in. So on that note, we'll see you next week.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot.